Put something in the chat. Let me know that you guys are alive. If you're still asleep, go do something to wake yourself up. Splash some cold water. Go get another cup of coffee and do what you have to do. Because if you're planning on trading and you're half asleep, kiss your money goodbye. You might as well just go donate it now and save yourself the headache. Okay? So, ladies, gents, let's take a second and just make sure that we're all prepared for the trading day. How do you get prepped for the trading day? Ask yourself a few questions. If the market presented you something that was unexpected right now, do you have the mental wherewithal? Do you have the mental focus and sharpness to be able to be flexible? Like right now, I have these two buy options. If the market was to just fall out of the sky here, am I prepared for that? Now, for me personally, the answer is yes, because I've made sure that I'm ready. If the market just starts flying with no pullback, with nothing, no ability for me to get back in, am I prepared for that? The answer is yes. I am prepared for the unexpected because that's what trading is. And so if you guys are hopping on today, you are not prepared for the unexpected, then you're gonna get mollywopped by the markets. That's real. Okay? So that's the biggest one. Number two, do you have a trading plan? And are you going to follow that plan? Plan your trades and trade your plan. It's that easy. If you guys start seeing a bunch of market movement and then you just throw your plan away and just start taking break and retest trades or momentum chasing trades, kiss your money goodbye. So make sure that you guys have a clear system in order. You guys have prepared yourself and your mental sharpness to take advantage of these markets. And whoever has their mic unmuted, you got about 2 seconds before I kick you off the call. So let's get that microphone muted up so that people can actually hear what I have to say and get prepared for the trading day instead of listening to somebody chewing on their microphone. As much as I love the sound of people chewing on their mic, I get it. You're hungry. I'm hungry too. Put the microphone down. All right. So it looks like only a few people are awake. Not a lot of activity in the chats. I don't know what's going on. So if you're not ready, all right, suit yourself. This only the sharp survive in this game. All right, so let's talk about some updates here while the market moves. Again, I'm looking for either a pullback to 790 or a pullback to 750. It's that simple. Could the market just continue to move without a pullback? Of course it can. It's been doing that for the last week and a half. The last week and a half, a lot of people have been seeing us, have been seeing me personally be more selective, and I've started to hear a little bit of chatter about how we're just letting trades go and we're not taking trades, whatever. Here is for the record. You post your number yesterday on the live and email. On which email? My personal phone number? Oh, fuck no. All right. I don't know what to make of that information. But what was I saying? Oh, on FTMO, yeah, I saw that. I saw that. If people start spamming me, I'll just change my number and just never do a live again. So it's like that. What was I saying? What was I saying? Oh yeah, a lot of people have been saying that we're letting trades go, whatever, whatever. For the record, you all are free to do whatever the fuck you want to do. I am not here trading for you. I'm here to trade my system and to bring people along so you guys can see how I trade in real time. So if I am missing trades because it's part of my plan and you somehow have a problem with that, you don't have to trade anywhere close to how I'm trading. I'm being selective because I'm trying to prioritize not losing money above just taking every trade. If you insist on wanting to chase trades, what the hell does that have to do with me? So let me make something very abundantly clear for everybody. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm definitely not here to give you guys financial advice, and I'm not here to trade for you. I'm here to show you how I trade, and I'm here to literally just trade live in front of everyone. And if you find it valuable and you see that I'm successful very often and you want to learn from how I'm doing this so you can recreate that success, that's what you should all be doing. But you will see me be very selective, especially in the last month of the year. So if you're expecting me to be on here and to chase trades if there isn't a clear entry, that is not what's about to happen. You just might as well hop off the streams now. And so just to be clear again, I'm looking for the retest of 790 and 750. It is what it is. Okay, let's jump into those four big geopolitical events. I think it happened when you were showing the FTMO stuff. This is really why I avoided live streaming for a long time. I really value my privacy, yo. You guys see, I really try not to post lifestyle. I try not to post profits. I try not to post anything about my like family. I try not to post anything on social media that could be compromising. I'm here to try to provide as much value as possible, but I'm not here to compromise my own autonomy and my own privacy. So I'm not too happy about that. If people start spamming my messages, then there's going to be consequences for it, and I'd just much rather avoid that. So if y'all are watching this, don't be the dickhead that ruins it for everybody. And if you are, I will expose you, and you guys can basically take care of them. Okay? If one person ruins the live streams for everybody else, I will put the name out publicly, and you guys can handle that one yourself. Same with whoever's been sending my live streams out to the prop firms and brokers that I'm criticizing. Now, at the end of the day, I'm not here saying things publicly because I'm worried about someone hearing them. We are on a public platform on social media, and I intend on somebody hearing this. But if you're deliberately sending my stuff to try to get me in hot water here, I'm gonna find out who that is. All right, because I don't take kindly to people creating a lot of mess in the back end for me and having me to pick up the pieces. All right, I'm trying to provide value about which firms to use, which firms not to use, and I will continue to do so. Okay, let's talk about those four geopolitical conflicts that are the first big news is that a Colorado judge, you guys can guess that they're Democrats, have taken Donald Trump off of the Colorado ballot, citing the risks of an insurrection and the risks that he poses to the electoral process. I think it's going to get overturned, but this actually has taken a bigger toll than I thought. Like I actually didn't think it was going to hold as a decision, but it seems like a lot of the candidates have taken this seriously. Vivek Ramaswamy has promised to drop out of the Colorado primary race if Donald Trump is not reinstated on the ballot. Now, in case you guys haven't been keeping up with US elections, Donald Trump is leading the Republican ballot, the Republican race by a massive margin. I think he has over 65% of the votes, and everybody else is fighting for the last 40% or 35%. So it's not even close that Trump is the front runner nominee and that this is who the country, the half of the country wants to elect as their nominee. And so this one judge in Colorado taking him off the ballot, citing the risk of insurrection, even though insurrection is not one of the charges that he was charged with. This is starting to get a little bit of like a clown show. And so I think whoever these judges are, by the time this is all said and done, they will be off the bench. They will be disbarred for that decision. And I think that it's important for the other nominees to step up. And this is my personal opinion, but it's important for the other nominees to step up against this unjust action because it could be them next. Democrats are trying to use every single tool they have to get Trump off the ballot. Why? Because he's leading in the polls. Right now, if nothing else changes, Trump will win the presidency in November. And so they're using the Justice Department to try to levy a bunch of these charges against him. They're using the judicial system to try and get him taken off of ballots. And they're trying to distract him with court cases, civil, not criminal, civil courts, criminal courts deal with real crimes. Civil court cases means we don't like what you did, and we're going to try and sue you for what we don't like that you did. And so they're using every tool that they have to try and beat Trump before he runs, because they know once he runs, it's game over. He said he would destroy Biden in the elections. It's not even close. People voted for Biden not because he was a great president, but they voted against Trump. 4 years removed, the only people that still think that Trump is bad for the country are people who have zero, what is it? Literate, I think financial literacy, like the financially illiterate and those with their head in the sand would say that they would prefer Biden over Trump. Nobody who is an informed participant, meaning you're actually paying attention to the after effects, the geopolitical conflicts, to the economic situation, and then to the optimism of the country. If you're paying attention to these things that actually matter, you'll realize that it's not even a close race. Okay? There was not a single war happening 4 years ago. Now, I don't care what you think about what someone says. Let's be completely honest. People dying is real. People's feelings getting hurt, it's all in their head. And so we allow delusional people who let words and things drive them nuts. We call this Trump derangement syndrome. We let folks with Trump derangement syndrome lead us into a reality where people were actually dying now. All of the fighting age males in Ukraine have been decimated. That country will never recover, ever. Think about it. Think about the most effective people in a society are the young military age males who drive the ball forward. Every single one of them in Ukraine has been completely obliterated. How is that country supposed to recover? And so America's policy right now is let's encourage our allies to get into these conflicts that we all know they can't win, and then fucking turn our back on them halfway through. If anyone thinks that that is a sound geopolitical policy, you don't know a thing about how the world works. And so I think this is one of the biggest threats is that the country itself wants a president. The world needs a stronger president. And because there's some people that don't like the way that these things are said, they will fight tooth and nail to get Trump out of office. Are you guys with me on the same page here? They can't beat him fair and square, so they're trying to beat him before he gets in the polls, because if they can hit him with incitement of violence or they can hit him with insurrection, these are one of the two charges levied against the president that will bar you from running in a political race. He can actually get charged with other felonies and still run, but insurrection, specifically trying to overthrow the government, as that specific wording, that's an eliminating factor for running on the ballot. How come you don't see how dangerous Donald Trump is to society, more especially immigrants like me? Why are you playing the immigrant card? And why do you feel like Trump is dangerous for immigrants? Because in case you guys don't know, I immigrated to this country when I was 10 years old. And I can almost promise you that Trump is better for immigration than anybody else. What low did you draw your fib from? Justin, what low do you think I draw my fib from? With a Fibonacci, you have your 0 and your 1 point. This is your range for the Fibonacci retracement sequence. So everything inside of there is your retracement levels. And so if you can identify the 0 point and the 1 point, you can identify the top and the bottom. So now, based on what I just told you, Justin, where would you say I drew my low from? Now, Ikama, I actually do want to hear your take on this. How come you don't see how dangerous Donald Trump is to society? What makes Trump dangerous to society? Let's piece this apart. I think what happened was not showing the FTMO stuff. Yep. To be completely honest, guys, I might have to hide the visibility on that one. By the way, guys, we just put up a new video with about the FX Summit, where it's the funded traders panel. We have Paladin, we have Kyle from Jade Cap, we have Omer Kambal, the co-founder of Chart Addicts, we have Riz Iqbal, the founder of Words of Wisdom, and we have Josh Barnes. And they're all on stage together, crushing it on the FX Summit. We have a new thumbnail coming up, but definitely recommend checking out this video as soon as we're done with this stream, yo. Definitely recommend checking out this video. I'm going to hide that other podcast or the other stream from yesterday right after this. We'll get it going. If you guys find any value in this stream, please drop a like. Drop a like so that this stream gets recommended to others. It would mean a lot to us. That video was so good. I listened to it last night. Awesome stuff. Yeah, guys, keep in mind, there's only a few traders in the game today that I actually take advice from. Kyle is one of those people. It's Kyle, Umar. It's really just Kyle and Umar. These are really the two traders that I really I want to say look up. Well, yeah, I would say that. Take my ego aside. These are two traders I do look up to. You guys are absolutely massively successful, and they have definitely set the bar high for what is the standard, right? So I'm going to have to get a TD Ameritrade account. I'm going to have to make $7 million profit in a year. That's the new bar. How dumb are people, though, honestly, that they mention it on the live right now, knowing the way this generation is, could be a private message, to be honest. Yeah, I see that. I mean, look, I fucked up, so I can't even be mad. Share with us an example. I am black and Trump has mine and many who looks like me's vote. Yes, because, I mean, let's be completely honest. If we just look at policies, who's done more for black people? Is it Trump or is it Biden? Who's done more for immigrants? Is it Trump or is it Biden? Who's done more for women, Trump or Biden? And the more that you look into it, you'll start to realize that Biden hasn't done shit for anybody. He has shown it during his last administration. He banned so many countries from coming to the U.S., including my country of origin, meaning it can no longer file for my brothers and sisters to migrate. Yes, I mean that's just the reality of the situation. We ran out of spots. The previous governments were too pussy to close the doors because they just didn't want to be rude, but at the expense of the quality of this country. The reason everyone wants to come here is because there's a quality of living that makes it an inspiration for people to want to live here. Now, if you just let the doors open and everybody can come in and we don't have a set standard for who can come in and who can't, we're going to lose the quality that makes it so attractive to come here. And so it makes sense that we have to be selective. I'm just going to be completely real here that you can't have an unfettered immigration policy where people who want to come here can come here. Really, what we should have, and this is even more strict than what we have right now, is a merit-based immigration system. If we know that we're 100,000 doctors short, we should be opening migration for people that will help this country. Now, I understand that what we want is to just open the door for everyone. But just like me and you, we would let someone come stay at our house if it was life or death, and we would let somebody stay there for a reasonable amount of time. But if every homeless person wanted to just have an open door policy into my house, at some point I'm gonna have to set a standard of who can come in and who can't, and how long they can come in and how long they cannot. And then, of course, the people who want to come in the door are going to complain outside, saying, oh, this guy's not fair. The first 1,000 people got to come in, and now I can't come in. At some point, there had to be a standard set. Immigrants like you and I are the reason why America is doing well. The richest man in the world is an immigrant to the USA, of course. And if we want to bring in more Elon Musks, then I'm more than happy to. But if a lot of people want to come here, even my own family, if they applied for a visa and they could not come in, I'm not going to be shocked. The question is, what are they going to offer to the country? We need to have a merit-based immigration policy. We can't just have a oh, everybody can come in. Why? Because who's going to pay for the immigrants to come into this country? When we have public utility services, let's take roads, let's take parks, let's take police, let's take fire. These will protect everybody in society, whether they pay taxes or not, whether they're registered or not, whether they came here legally or illegally. I'm all for legal immigration, by the way. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here with the zero tolerance policy, but because of how bad things were, we had to have a complete shutdown and then start to open up the doors slowly. But illegal immigration is, I think, what we're really, really talking about today. I don't think that we're talking about the legal immigration. If people want to apply for a visa, whether it be a H2B visa, like a worker's permit, or just a regular immigration visiting visa, they should be able to in a legal sense. But I think that right now we don't have any sort of sensible immigration policy. Elon Musk did not come to the USA a rich man. Look, we're not going to use the richest man in the world as an example. There's millions of people who are trying to come into this country that are not Elon Musk. And if we're going to point to just the one example of the smartest man in the world as an example of why we should open the doors, I guarantee you the next million people who come into this country are not going to fucking be Elon Musk. Okay? Let's just be honest about this. You and I are probably not going to be Elon Musk. That is not the right example. Um, and again, we just have a lot of unique problems today. A lot of the people that are coming into this country don't even like this country. A lot of the people that are immigrating here don't have an affinity for American values. And so what you're doing is you're diluting the quality of the values that exist in a specific country when you're importing ideals that are contrary to what this country is built on. And so I'm not talking about their right to hold those ideas. You can hold whatever ideas that you want, but go do it over there. Okay, the ideals of the United States are about unfettered freedom. They are for commercial enterprise and capitalistic freedom, and a lot of people just don't seem to appreciate that. Now, all that aside, was Trump did Trump do better for the immigrants that were here, or did Biden do more for the immigrants that were here? Because if you guys remember 2016 to 2020, those were the most prosperous years, I think, for all of us. But with Biden, I think that what we've seen is they've kept the numbers artificially positive. So you guys can see the GDP print, the unemployment numbers, the inflation, things look on paper like they're getting better. But if you look at the reality, not even close. We are one problem away from everything going back to shit. And I'm not talking about a big issue like the coronavirus, because that will stop any president's progress. I'm talking about if there's an escalation in China and Taiwan, and there's a disruption to the supply chain, that's what's going to lead to a rise in prices. Let's go one step further. Let me explain how supply chains work while we wait for this pullback. Again, for the pullback, once you have a push off of the zone, it's actually it gets a lot easier to find a reentry. What you do is you just measure the recent impulse. We have to wait for it to form a high and start retracing. But let's assume this is the high, and then we can wait for a re-entry at the same, at the same fib level that we're always looking for. So for those of you that are watching the market move and afraid that it won't come back, we are going to wait for the retracement, measure with a fib, look for the retest, and then we're going to enter this trade. Okay? Just so you guys don't think that I'm losing track of the trade that is right in front of us. Let's talk about supply chains. The reason that inflation got so high because of two reasons. Number one, we printed a record amount of money in the trillions and trillions of dollars. We pumped that into the economy. This big square is going to be the economy. And so because we pumped so much money, more people have money in their hands, and so there was more spending. When more people spend and everybody is chasing the same goods and services, that increases the prices. There's a limited supply, and then there's high demand, prices go up. And so a big reason for the rise in inflation was the demand side dynamics. So there's supply side and demand side. Demand side is how many people want this stuff. Okay. Now, on the other hand, we also had a bunch of supply chain issues because of really because of the coronavirus and because of the borders being locked down between China and Europe and between all the African countries. There was a lot of supply chain issues. So now we have the supply side dynamics because less goods and services could make it to the States. People were not trading with each other as much because of the risk of contamination. And so the supply of goods and services started to go down. And there wasn't enough toilet paper in the stores. There wasn't enough goods and there wasn't enough household supplies at the stores. So prices went up. So we had a supply side shock. Okay, so inflation really was caused by these two things. We printed a record amount of money, which pumped the demand side higher. And then we had a supply side shock where less goods and services were available in the economy. So right now, what we've seen is that the supply side has actually been mostly fixed. Because we're in the post-coronavirus era, we're able to trade freely with each other, and the cost of goods and services has started to come down, especially the oil. Demand side is still strong because people still have jobs in the States. And right now, I'm specifically talking about this from the perspective of the US consumer, because the US economy is what I would consider the leader in sentiment and policy when it comes to the world. So demand is still strong in the States because employment is still high, people still have jobs. And then we're also seeing wage inflation. It's not as high as it's not too high that's going to create a problem, but people's wages are going up for two reasons. Number one, it's hard to find workers in the economy, so employers are paying people more. And then number two, a lot of people have found alternative ways to make money, and so the employment market is starting to pay people more just to stay at their current jobs. If you guys have a job that's in high demand, but not a lot of people are starting to leave that job, like let's say healthcare. A lot of healthcare workers are starting to leave that job for something else, but it's a high demand gig. I would fight for a wage increase if that's something that you guys are, if that's something that's possible for you at your job. Okay. So long story short, demand side dynamics are still strong, and that's why inflation is holding. If we have any issues on the supply side, this is what I meant to explain. If there's any issues with getting stuff here and getting it here for a cheap price or sourcing materials, then inflation is going to go through the roof. If there's any issues with the demand side dynamics because people start to lose their jobs, then inflation will come down. So any effect to either side could bring inflation up and down. Right now, inflation is being held down artificially because of gas prices. Gas prices making up the majority of people's, just conspicuous spending in a month. It goes food and energy. If you look at those numbers, we're one supply side shock away from inflation going back up. So why are oil prices down right now, and what could affect it? The largest oil producers in the world are OPEC, which is Saudi Arabia and the boys, right? Saudi Arabia and gang. That's over there. And then we have the United States, which this year has pumped out a record amount of oil production. The United States produces more oil than we use on an annual basis, but because it costs the United States too much to pump this oil, we end up exporting it so we can make money, and then we import the cheap oil. Okay? So it all makes sense. But then we have Venezuela, Canada, the United States, we have Russia, we have Iran, and then we have OPEC. These are the big players. Now, I just mentioned a bunch of countries that are going through it. I mentioned Venezuela, which just had a hyperinflation crisis, and their central bank just crashed. We have Canada. Just God help Canada, right? Everybody say a prayer. Canada should impeach Trudeau and should be rioting in the streets every day, but those people don't have an ounce of that fight in them. This is why I love the United States. Another great reason why this country is amazing is because we will fight to the death, for the things that are right. Roy, real wages are down because of inflation. The reason, actually, that's not true. If you look at nominal wages, they have gone up. Now, if we're going to talk about adjusted for inflation, it depends on which numbers. Right now, we're at 3.1% inflation, and wage growth is still climbing. So I think that, okay, yeah, I mean, I guess there's an argument here for nominal versus real, but give it a few months, and I guarantee that once the real inflation comes down, we're going to look at wages and we're going to see that they actually have gone up. This is actually a problem because the demand side dynamics, the fact that this is so strong, is also being fueled by wage growth. Wage growth is leading to the ability for consumers to spend these higher prices, to buy eggs at these crazy prices. Donald Trump wants to dismantle NATO. Of course he does, because NATO is the shittiest treaty of all time. Let America pay for fucking everything. Let us get robbed by every country on our imports, and then we just sit there and just get mollywopped every day and take it. It was one of the worst trade deals ever created. Every single thing that Trump tried to fight against and dismantle, immediately I thought this guy's crazy. When it comes to NATO, NAFTA, when it comes to the Israel-Palestine peace deal and the Saudi and Israel peace deal, every single thing that he tried to do, I'm like, bro, this guy is out of his mind. And then 2 or 3 years removed, we realized this was the only chance that these people had. They had one shot and they squandered it. Okay. Not sure if you remember me, but yesterday I told you I was down 2%, but confident I'd get it back. I'm now in NAS buys up 1.5%. Thank you for pouring even more confidence into me yesterday. Rockstar Tony, give yourself the credit because I did not pull that trigger for you. You had to step up to the plate and make your own decisions. Everybody say W Tony in the chat for him believing in himself, and put W Tony, not just to support Tony, but to support all of you, for you to have the confidence in yourself. Next time that you guys are scared to build back your account and hashtag build back better, you can remember Tony and how he believed in himself, and how you should too, because trading is a game that will try and strip your confidence away from you. With every loss and every mistake, you'll start to feel a little bit less certain about how you will perform. And the only thing that matters in trading is confidence. You have a technical skill, yes, and you have a technical strategy that has a positive expectancy system, yes. But on the flip side of that, you also need the discipline and emotional maturity to have confidence, even when you're losing. So, W Tony, let that be a testament to everybody else, that if you guys are down in your account, you can't get it back through over leveraging. You cannot get it over leveraging, and those sorts of trading mistakes, they come from a source of fear. Fear of, what if I fail this challenge and I just got to get back up to break even, and what if I miss this trade? It's all coming from a fear standpoint. We can't do fear. Fear has no place in trading. Fear does not exist. And so when you're talking about the confidence, confidence will not lead you to blow your account. Fear will. You're not going to over leverage because you're confident. You're going to over leverage because you're scared. Confidence will have you knowing that I don't need to over leverage on this trade because I'm going to find 50 more just like it because that's the level of skill I have. All right. Confidence, people. Confidence is king. All right. We're getting this build up right now. Take a look here. We're going to have a retracement very soon. How do we know? We just hit the 88.6 on the other side. So from the top to the bottom, we just hit the 88.6 right here. We're going to see a bit of a pullback. The question is, are we going to get a full pullback, down to these entry prices, or is it going to be this little weak pullback? So here are the two options, just so no one is confused. We're going to get a pullback here to 830 and just create this higher floor, in which case the chances that we get a real pullback just start to go out the window. This thing is just going to pump up. It's always a game of shallow retracement versus deeper retracement. Nick Loy says fear has no place in trading. Exactly. Well, let me take it one step further. Emotions have zero place in trading. Zero. Not even a 1% of 1% of 1%. Oh, yeah, but Roy. No, no. No, there's no buts, no if, ands. You guys can try and change my mind. Emotions have zero role in trading. None. Diego says, love from Canada. I love the people of Canada. Some of the best people on earth, some of the sweetest, most hospitable people on earth. Diego, your government is a massive fraud against humanity. Your government is purposefully trying to weaken the population to enslave all of you into a socialistic society. And if you look at every socialist society in the world that has ever taken place, and you look at the historical record, there has never been a positive outcome from a country subjugating their people to a socialist ideal. Ever. And so the sooner that Canada wakes up, the sooner you can save yourself. But I'll tell you, if you guys decide to go down this road, Venezuela is the best example for you. Because it's all fun and games when oil prices are high and you can run your socialist economy. When oil prices start to crash like they're doing now, and you cannot run the social programs, and then you have emasculated and emulsified the people of that country, taken away their ability to be self-dependent, that's where you have problems. Venezuela got everybody hooked on those government free education, free healthcare, all the government subsidies. The second that oil crashed and they were no longer able to sustain the socialist policies, the country had been stripped of its ability to build back better. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? This is real stuff. I just saw this happen in Lebanon with our corrupt leaders. And the only problem is that we have a terrorist force on our border with Hezbollah. And so we were not even able to get IMF funding or World Bank aid. Canada still has a chance, but the people of Canada need to step up. The biggest tell was when the truckers started to protest and the whole world stood by the truckers, and Justin Trudeau doubled down against the people who supply food to the entire fucking country. From the safety of his desk and the security of his private plane, telling these hardworking people that they were in the wrong. That's when we started to have a problem. That's when we realized that the country was too far gone and that Justin Trudeau was a failure, and that if it was not for really, bro, Justin Trudeau would be irrelevant if his father was not such a great man. He's riding the coattails of the Trudeau name, but he's a fucking disgrace to Canadians. He's a disgrace to humanity itself. And every single policy that he puts into place is directly antithetical to everything that God would want out of a free and fair society. Justin Trudeau, scam. All right, I feel like we're getting a bit too deep into politics. I don't want to go and bore you guys. Let's go through the different geopolitical conflicts, and we'll go through those one by one. Here's some updates in Ukraine and Russia. You guys remember that there was a war in Ukraine and Russia, and everybody just seems to have fucking thrown that out the window? Do you guys remember that we had spent $80 billion? Do you guys remember how every fighting age male in the entire country of Ukraine, the Klitschko brothers, everybody that went and fought on the front lines is now completely gone? And that society no longer has any fighting age males? And then this whole idea of Ukraine being the buffer between Russia and Europe. This whole idea of them being our buffer is completely gone out of the fucking window because all the fighting age males are gone. This is the equivalent of, imagine all of us are in a circle and one of your friends is about to go get into a fight. And you know that they are going to lose this fight, but you're going to support them long enough to stay in the game. And you continue to encourage them. Say, nah, bro, get in there, fight him. No, 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 I got your back. I got your back, bro. We all got your back. Get in there and fight. And now they're in this fight getting their ass handed to them. And as soon as everything is depleted, we walk away and we leave our friend stranded in the middle of this losing fight. That's what's happening in Ukraine and Russia. We encouraged Ukraine to enter a losing battle because the sick people in Congress had this idea that this would somehow weaken Russia. Let me give you guys a news flash here. Our animosity against Russia stems from the Soviet Union. Our battle with World War II, the Cold War, the space race against the Soviet Union. Now, I don't know if you all have noticed this, but the Soviet Union no longer exists. It's not a fucking thing anymore. And so this whole idea that there's some people in Congress that have an issue with this imaginary ideal of what, Putin is. We have Iran that every day in their parliamentary chambers call for the death to America. We have China that has built a 2030 policy, the Make China Great Again policy. China 2030 is to replace America's dominance on the global stage. We have direct threats to our sovereignty, and these people are out here fucking worried about fucking. These people are worried about the Soviet Union that doesn't exist anymore. So we sent $80 billion to Ukraine to fight the Soviets that don't exist anymore. And now the Ukraine has completely run out of ammo. They've run out of fighting forces, and they're just going out with their hat out to the rest of the world, begging for change. And guess what? No one. And right now, here's what happens in Congress. I worked in Congress as a legislative assistant for two congressmen, and under two separate occasions. They were both conservatives. I was actually a liberal at the time. Think about this. I was young, stupid, and I was a liberal, and I went to go work for some conservatives. And that's actually what changed my mind. Now, the people out in Congress, they want to go for holiday break. They can't because they still haven't voted on a massive infrastructure bill, and they haven't voted on what's going to happen with Ukraine. What these people try and do is there's a massive infrastructure bill. They'll just slap the Ukraine funding halfway in this American Patriot Act or some dumbass name, and they'll just throw the Ukraine funding in there. Now, the Republicans will go out there and read the shit and say, "Wait a second, what's this $100 billion for Ukraine in here? No one's going to give money to Ukraine." And they're like, "Oh, the Republicans are voting against the infrastructure bill." Infrastructure bill? You guys want to send $100 billion for another losing war? Are we fucking stupid to send Americans to go die for what? So long story short, there's a war out there. Nobody wants to give any more funding to Ukraine, and their efforts are dwindling. How this only ends one way. This only ends one way, is that the Donbass region, the Donetsk, which are the areas, the Russian-speaking parts of the eastern Ukraine that have been fought over, they will belong to Russia. Russia will take those and they will absorb those, and then the Ukrainians will have fought and lost all of their fighting age men for absolutely nothing. And I think this is one of the biggest crimes that the world has committed, is convincing the Ukraine that they have a shot here and allowing this war to continue for as long as it did. Okay? Ikama says, I am sorry to disagree with your political views. I don't mind if you kick me out of your community. I'll never kick anybody out for disagreeing with me. I'll kick people out for being trolls, being arrogant, being disrespectful, and things like that. But I love people who have a differing opinion as long as you can defend that opinion. So if I asked you why Trump was worse for immigrants, and then you just told me that, well, he didn't let all my family in, that's not a good enough reason. So I can't really respect that as a rebuttal. But if you come up with a great point, I would love, guys, I am very happy to change my mind in the face of new information. But I need really good new information. Last week, you shared Helpy FX free Forex signals. I Googled it and I joined it. I have never mentioned Helpy FX. Helpy FX sounds like a fucking scam. Okay. Numero uno, you look like a scam AI bot. So you are gonna get kicked out for promoting some type of scam. Helpy FX sounds like a scam. You're in timeout. 24-hour timeout. Go home. You got to earn the right to voice your opinion. Yes. This whole culture of like, no, everyone's opinion matters. Everyone's opinion. Why? What the fuck have you done with your life that awards you an opinion? Oh, but bro, I'm actually a political expert in this. I have a PhD in this thing. You guys know how many PhDs I've argued with in my life that were fucking retarded? Excuse my language. Real world experience will beat academic experience on any given day. And the only people who don't understand that are the academics who wasted hundreds of thousands in debt and wasted years of their life deteriorating their health to learn about something that's not fucking true. Think about this. There are people with PhDs in economics. How the fuck do you get a PhD in economics? Economics is not a hard science. The current prevailing theories of economics are the efficient market hypothesis. The efficient market hypothesis is not true. You guys get where I'm getting at? Is that these guys want to be experts. Look at the experts during COVID. Straight up. Look at the experts during the 2008 financial crisis. Oh, let's bail out the big banks because they're too big to fail. Let's look at the experts who are now cooking up this theory of the modern monetary theory. Let's look at MMT. Do you guys know what modern monetary theory says? It says that debt and money printing, it's all relative. We can actually print about as much money as we want because it doesn't matter how much we print. It just matters that if everybody else prints and the whole game gets bigger, then it's all relative. Those people need to be thrown under a jail. The modern monetary crowd is the reason why the future will be worse than it was. The future will be worse than the present. The future should always be better than the present. And if we look at things realistically, they have been. How much are you up in this trade? I'm still waiting for this pullback. I was going to enter this trade during the market open, but I decided to wait for the pullback and trade with the rest of you guys. I was going to enter it right before I hit the gym. I saw it hit the 88.6. I'm still holding this trade from a week ago. This entry here was at 16,566. All right, so I've already taken partial profits. I've just been looking for these retests, but I took partial profits. This trade is still floating about 800 bucks. Make that 530 bucks. It's holiday season, people. I'm taking my partials. No retest, no entry. I just measured this thing and we got a 61% retest, but we never got the 88 retest. I'm still waiting for it. I'm still waiting for this the 16,750 level to get hit, but at this point we just created a new floor. So what I'd have to do is mark off this new floor and just start to trade from there. Okay, so now we have a new floor here. We had the 88.6. How I drew my fib was from, so here was the recent floor, and I was originally drawing my trade from here to here. My Fibonacci retracement sequence, excuse me. Here's the higher floor. This is the next floor up. We had a push up, and then we had a retest, 88.6. We had a bit of a higher floor here, and all I wanted was for the market to finish this wedge, at the market open, come through and retest, and then continue to the upside. What I am noticing, especially in this December environment, is that the market is not coming back at the market open for these retests. It's just continuing straight to the upside. There's no problem. Okay? It's better to be selective than to be chasing trades. The media rarely mentions that war anymore. Yeah. Guys, you guys don't know? Putin cured COVID. Putin cured COVID. Now you guys are like, oh my God, Roy is spitting one of those talking points where it's like, oh, as soon as the Russia and Ukraine war started, we stopped talking about COVID. I'm actually going to take it one step further. You guys want to see something fucking hilarious? And this is not hilarious. It's actually sad and depressing, but they think that they're fucking slick. Look at the Ukraine death toll numbers, and then let's say reported deaths of COVID. Let's look at this. Let's look at the time where they stopped reporting COVID deaths. I want to see a chart here. Early indicators, emergency department visits. Let's go through this death toll here. Oh, come on. Give me the fucking chart, man. These cases or deaths? Okay, these are deaths. When did Ukraine invade, or when did Russia? So we're looking around February and March of 2022. Huh. Do you guys see? We had a massive spike in January, and then as soon as Putin invaded Russia, look at that. Look how many, look, we had the record low cases, record low deaths. So I mean, it kind of seems like Putin invading Ukraine did a lot. All right, same thing here in Southeast Asia. In January, it was looking pretty bad, but as soon as the invasion happened, February 21st, as soon as the invasion happened, we had this massive crater here and the amount of reported deaths. Guys, am I making this up or is this real? Okay, let's look at the Eastern Mediterranean. Again, February 24th. Let's go February 24th. Wow, it kind of looks like we were in a massive decline here. We went from this fucking chart looks like the Burj Khalifa. This looks like the tallest building in the world, straight drop off in the couple months down to damn near zero. Guys, is this you guys starting to see? So not only is the narrative changing, but also the entire focus, the reported numbers of deaths changed. Just to show you. Okay, so first it was coronavirus, then it was the Ukraine crisis, and then as soon as the war in the Middle East broke out, everybody ditched the Ukraine-Russia crisis and is now focusing on the Middle East. The reason I bring this up is because next year, especially with the election season, we're going to be seeing a lot of these psyops. And so if you're not keeping your focus on the priorities, you're going to start to miss some of these cues and you might end up getting caught up in different narratives that the media will feed you. Okay? Ikama, that's what liberals do when they disagree with another narrative. We conservatives enjoy a good debate. This is not a us versus them. Buddy, there's a lot of fucking pansies that are conservatives. Let's be real. Just because you say you're a conservative or you watch a conservative show or you have conservative talking points doesn't mean you've actually done anything for your society. So I'm not going to sit here like an us versus them thing. There's some fucking pansies on the conservative side, which is why we're in this mess. We let a bunch of fucking drag queen fucking whatevers literally take over the country and take over the public conversation. And then it took us a goddamn year and a half to get back on course. And the only people that were supposed to stand up and they were supposed to have the balls to say anything were the conservatives, and they fucking did nothing. So I'm not going to sit here and give conservatives a pass either. All right? Conservatives were supposed to reclaim the conversation, and we had to wait for Elon Musk to spend $50 billion of his own money just to get back onto a platform that was able to speak an honest conversation. Okay? All this talk about how the conservatives have the guns and that they would defend the First Amendment and they would defend free speech and they would defend our rights if it ever came down to it, all that shit went out the window. How much are you up on this trade? Okay. Does this work in all market conditions and through the annual cycle? Yes. When Russia hit first time, the COVID was gone. Yes. Okay, we're going to talk about Israel Hamas here in just a second. Roy, all my comments that have Trudeau written correctly in the comments are not appearing. I'm from Canada, by the way. Shit's corrupt. Internet is being censored. Trudeau. Fuck Trudeau. All right. The thing is, we're in America, so I can say this freely. You guys see the value of the First Amendment? Damn, Putin stopped COVID. He did. We can thank him for that. Love listening to this. I don't even trade NASDAQ. Yep. I mean, if we can get a pullback, I might be able to change your mind about trading NASDAQ. I just haven't been able to find great retest opportunities. And so here's what we're likely going to have to do. I don't change my strategy, even though it's been a week and a half of the market showing me that the market moves are happening pre-New York. So if we don't enter here, we're not going to get a trade opportunity. What the market is telling me to do is, Roy, switch up your execution strategy and just stop waiting for a retest. Stop waiting for the 1 hour after the market open and just start trading the market open. Now, I can promise you guys one thing. The second I switch up my strategy and start trading the market open, that's when we go back to having whipsaws at the market open. So I'm not going to change my strategy just yet. If the rest of this week I continue to see the trades happening early and no real retests on the higher time frames, that's when I will start sending out the stream link 1 hour earlier, and we will take advantage of these pumps and then just be out for the rest of the day. He said, yo, this is so dark. He said, buddy, let's trade. Connor, please don't make me have to roast you publicly in front of everybody. Okay? Mind your business and don't tell me what to do. Damn, that missed trade looks like it hurts. No, no, no. See, okay, see, here's what I want you to do, Yusuf. Look in your shorts real quick. Check if they're still there. You and Connor both. No, no, don't be shy. Look under. Are they still there? Yep, yep. Okay. Talking about a missed trade hurts. How is missing a trade supposed to hurt? It's like saying words are violence. If you were going to be hurt by missing this trade, you would have taken it. I was not going to be hurt by missing this trade, which is why I was okay with not taking it. You guys see how that works? I have a question, bro. CPI for GBP was this morning. Was what this morning? Numbers came out lower than before and lower than forecasted. Surely lower inflation rates are a better sign for the economy. Why is GBP USD bearish for the news? So let's look at this. Is inflation, you guys let me know in the chat, is inflation positive or negative for a currency? When we had very high inflation rates in America, is that positive or negative for the currency? And while you answer that, I'm going to go take a leak real quick. And we're back. How can we trade when there's no retest opportunities? You have to follow the plan. If you guys think that you run the markets, let this be your wake-up call. If you guys got into trading because someone was trying to sell you a course and they told you this whole thing about trade on your own time and you can make money on your own time and be a walking ATM. The reality is we are slaves to volatility. If the volatility is not in our favor, we can't take trades. If your strategy says to not wait for a retest, you would have already been in this trade. For my personal strategy, I have a very strict policy of no retest, no entry. And so if there's no retest, I don't chase the markets. It's that simple. I've lost more than enough money in my life chasing markets and trying to catch every retest and letting FOMO run my life. The only reason why you would be feeling FOMO is if you were not confident about your ability to catch a trade later or tomorrow or next week. When it retests and when it resets, I will find a trade. Now, if you're not confident about that, then I can understand why you feel the need to get in right now. Because if it leaves, God help us, I'm not going to get a second chance to get back in. Okay, 100K, then you wait. Good stuff. Dollar Renzo. There we go. So is inflation positive for the currency? Exactly. If inflation is high, it devalues the currency. Let's take a look at this. The dollar is a unique example. So I'm going to go through a lesson here. Okay, so we actually have to talk about this in two ways because this actually got a little bit confusing in my head. I had to really write this out. There's two kinds of inflation that happen. When you print money, two things happen. There's price inflation and then there's asset inflation. You can think about this like CPI or PCE. This is what we typically look at for consumer inflation. So when you print a lot of the currency, let's imagine that there's a money printer here and we're just pumping a lot of the currency into the system. When there's more money in the system, it's going to cost more of the same currency to buy the same goods. When you see home prices rising right now, it's not because the neighborhood got magically better, got $100,000 better. It's because there's so much more money in the system that is going to cost more money to buy the same house because of the amount of inflation that's been happening. So, on the other side, you have something called debasement. Debasement is the devaluation of a currency. So, when you print too much of the money, prices go up, but the value of the currency goes down. Okay? So, when inflation is coming down, meaning the prices are starting to come down, that's typically better for the currency. Now, what this person's describing is there was a data release that happened and the market is not reacting irrationally. Give it 2 days, and I guarantee you the market will catch up. Markets use data releases as an opportunity to hide these big liquidity moves. And so if you're expecting the market to move rationally as soon as the news hits, no. Think about news releases and data releases in terms of the 4-hour, daily, and weekly trend. That's where you're going to see those results. And so you have to give it time. Think about the data release like spike as being a 30-minute, 1 hour, and 4-hour phenomenon. Make sense? Roy, I'm drinking some coffee. I thought I'd stop by. Well, Drago Banks, welcome. Great to have you on here. Buddy, can I send you my entry for the NAS trade I am in? The entry is at 16,775. 16,775. 16,775. That's a great entry. That's awesome. Good for you. I got you beat though. I got that 16,566. Ah, this is what we're talking about. Okay. So long story short, in America, we're trying to bring inflation down. And so we can do that in two different ways. Every time that we print money, it debases the currency and it leads to more inflation. Make sense? Okay. Yeah, currency debasement is what's happening in Venezuela, which is why you have When people talk about hyperinflation, we're going to have, like a Weimar Republic style hyperinflation. What they're really talking about is a hyper debasement. Man, fuck this. I was about to just manually do all that. A good example of this is the Japanese yen. They've been trying to engineer inflation, okay, but prices just won't go up because no one's buying shit in Japan. They are one of the most strict savers in the world. They don't invest, they don't spend. They just want to save. And so they're trying to engineer inflation, but they're at the same time they're pumping their own currency in the system. So they're pumping their own currency, and the demand for this currency is almost non-existent. And so that's why the value is going to continue to drop. I'm bearish on the Japanese yen for the next however many years until their currency collapses. By the way, we hit a record high for NASDAQ. We hit all-time highs for NAS. In case you guys missed this, very historic moment for us. The entire history of the NAS100 index. These are the pre-COVID highs, or kind of like the COVID all-time highs. And we just broke through those. History is being made. History is being made as we speak. We're going to have a clear breakthrough, and then we're going to come back to retest at some point. But I see indices being bullish until the second quarter of 2024 and probably beyond. Like when eggs was $10. Yes. GU buys thoughts. We'll go through that later. This info is thousands of times more valuable than anything I've learned in school. Because the people at school don't really know what they're talking about. Like all of my professors that I learned finance or macroeconomics or global banking, they had worked in one of these institutions and they were really well versed in how that thing worked. But a lot of these folks that are teaching in schools, they stopped working at the banks before we had electronic systems. Like they're still thinking that there's some kind of outdated registry or something somewhere. We need to talk to people who are currently in the game. How money is created today has nothing to do with what the world looked like before 2012. It's not even the same world. It's not even the same game. Taking a brand new person who has watched a YouTube video about marginal reserve or fractional reserve banking would probably be better than someone who was in a bank 20 years ago who was talking about fractional reserve banking. All right. To tackle high inflation, interest rates are raised, which increases the value of the currency. Exactly. When the value of the no, it doesn't. Oh yes, it does. It increases the value of the currency. You're right. Because then the prices of everything is going to start to come down because it takes less units of dollars in order to purchase the same goods and services. Money is a concept that everyone should understand, especially if you're a trader. And if you guys are on here and you don't trade, but you're still an investor or you want to be involved in macroeconomics, you have to understand what money is. And a lot of people, I just feel like that's the starting line people don't understand. So money is four main things. Number one, it's a unit of account. It's an ability for us to track how much something costs. So again, in the past, me and you would want to barter. I want to trade my sheep for your goat. Now, if you live 20 miles away, I can't keep walking my sheep back and forth those 20 miles. All right. And so what I would do is we then created gold as a representation. This gold bar represents 20 sheep or 4 sheep. So now we can have a representation. So when somebody would ask, be like, how much does this cost? They would say 4 gold pieces. So it's a unit of account. Okay, it's $24 for this thing. It's a way for us to track the value comparatively between different goods and services. Then you have a medium of exchange. So you have a unit of account, which is the tracking metric. You have a medium of exchange, which is something that will represent something else. So gold used to represent the 4 sheep. So I can use it as a medium of exchange to buy your land or whatever it was, because this gold would be the equivalent of the 4 sheep that you wanted. So we have unit of account, which is a measurement system. We have medium of exchange, which is the ability to transact between all people and all different goods and services. We have let me see what else we got. I'm kind of blanking on this right now. I used to have the four memorized. Oh, store of value. Damn, my bad, guys. Store of value, which means that if you held it somewhere, it would be worth the same amount tomorrow. So if you put a dollar, you put it in a safe, the reason that it has value when you wake up tomorrow is not because it just has value. This piece of paper doesn't actually have any value. I can't burn it for anything. I can't use it for fuel. It's not metal, but it has value because of the agreement between all the different parties that it has value. Now, really, the US dollar gets its value from the petrodollar system, is that all oil in the world is transacted in US dollars. And so you know that the dollar is going to have its value when we wake up tomorrow morning, because as long as oil is the dominant trade and America is the dominant player in the world, and we can defend the petrodollar system militaristically, the US dollar will be the world's global reserve currency. So that way, it's a store of value. I can, I can keep my money there, and then it will track my wealth day after day. So when we look at Bitcoin and we look at some of the cryptocurrencies that came up, people started to get confused. They're like, well, I can't even spend my Bitcoin because it's too slow and it's too this and that. Because Bitcoin was never meant to be the prime medium of exchange. It's too slow. It was really supposed to be a unit of account because it's infinitely divisible. And it's also supposed to be um, a store of value, where that the value of it goes up over time because of its scarcity. Do you guys understand the value of money now? Like what is currency and what money really is? And so what we're doing is we're just tracking the different exchange rates of the currency. So if you want to trade out from one to the other, and we're just trading supply and demand versus those currencies. If everybody in the world wants dollars and there ain't enough dollars, the dollar goes up. And if everybody in the world wants to buy stocks and no one wants to hold currencies, you will see currency values go down. I had a 30-minute debate with my macro professor once about crypto. It was insane. Their entire life has revolved around understanding the dollar system, the fiat currency world, and trying to justify it to themselves. So of course, it's a massive wrench to just throw this new technology in there. All of us at some point will be those old fuckers that will not understand the new technology. And that we're going to try and stifle that technological innovation because of our inability to be flexible. Do not become that person. All right. Always stay flexible. And that way you can have your opinion about how these things are, but you can navigate the world. I am very against central bank digital currencies. But if you guys think I'm going to be poor in the future world of central bank digital currencies, you're out of your freaking mind. You can have your moral reservations about it, but just make sure you're doing it from the winning side. Make sure you're doing it under under the protection of wealth. Get rich in that new digital environment, and then we can all sit down at a table and have a conversation about the lack of privacy that this system involves. Between me and you, Roy, I won that debate. Yeah, I mean, let's be real. Crypto kind of sells itself. Okay. Roy, all my comments, the Trudeau caught the 88.6 liquidity retest. Eggs were at $10. Let's go through different pairs real quick. I'm not going to overstay my welcome today, folks. If the markets are not available for us to trade, I'm not going to sit here and force any positions. Let's look at the DXY first, just so we have a reasonable idea of what the dollar is doing. Dollar has decisively broken under the 61 and is now headed down to the 100.8 level. So this is what I'm waiting for personally, is a retracement down to the 100.8 level. And if you guys stick to the end, there's two reminders. One, we're going to talk about the Israel-Palestine conflict. And then two, I want to give you guys some quick reminders before the end of the year. So I think the dollar has a little bit more room to go. But of course, if we continue to hold support, that goes out the window. And as far as I'm concerned right now, even though this candle is bearish, we're still holding this support. So if we hold support, this thing could push up. That's what I'm watching now, is have a little bit of patience. And yeah, I'm waiting for two moves regarding the dollar play. I want to see the Euro USD continue to push up. And I think that this is a bit too early of an entry, this 1.1. It's going to have to be 1.11, just like I set up here. 1.11 would be a great area for a re-entry for shorts. USD JPY, same exact thing. I think that we have a little bit more room to go. Here's how this would look. You know what? This would actually make a lot of sense. So two options for USD JPY. We have this 142 level where we could see this inverted head and shoulders if we get a retracement here for the continuation. That would be ideal. And then if we break through, we still have not retested the 886. And so if we break through, I think this 140 level would be perfect. Same with the dollar. The dollar is coming down to an area of support. And then if it breaks through that area of support, we have the 100.8 level for the dollar. So UJ just tracks the dollar. And so that's what I'm going to be using, sort of gauge what we should be doing here. All right, so we had the inverse head and shoulders. The market is still breaking up. Here's what I would look for gold. Really, we'd have to go in here to the smaller time frames to track this. You guys can see the market is still kind of forming a trend here. What I would do is I would measure the fib from body to wick. Make sure the 78 is visible. Check the body of the candle on different time frames just in case. All right, this would be ideal. So right now the market is, so we've already had this bullish impulsive push up. And right now we are retesting about 78% of that previous bullish impulse. So if the market holds here, this will just be the continuation, just a higher low continuation. More than likely, what I would like to see is a break through this trend line to come down to 2023. Okay, just a little retest to 2023, and then a continuation to the upside. So personally, I would just wait for that pullback. If we don't get a pullback, I don't really feel comfortable entering this close to resistance. Whenever the market gets here, we see a massive sell-off. Whenever the market gets here, we have a massive sell-off. Market got here, we saw wick rejections and a sell-off. And now that the market is here, I don't really want to be buying from this high price. I'd rather be buying from this level. I'd rather be buying from this level. I'd rather be buying from this level again for the retest. So buy at buy zones and sell at sell zones, and you will have much more success in trading. Cool? All right. Let's see if we finally get a pullback here. Let me show you guys my second opportunity here. Okay, so this is always the battle of shallow retest. And so right now I'm looking at the 16,850 level before it continues, or deeper retest. So put a 1 if you guys think that the shallow retest is going to be the most likely. Put a 2 if you think that we can get a full retracement before the end of the session. Let me see what you guys think. What up, Roy? What up, D. Mitch? CGJ. JC said waiting on GBP USD. Well, I just gave you the DXY. I just gave you the dollar play. Again, here's my reminders. If you can't use what I just said about the dollar to figure out what to do with GBP USD, you should not be taking this next trade. You should really, really be able to, like, you should not have to pick and choose. You should be able to learn exactly what you need to learn so that when it comes time to trade, you're an informed participant. Everyone is saying 1 for the shallow retest. Some folks are saying 2. To be honest, I like 2. I like 2. Buying at all-time highs is just, come on, what do you guys want? How did you get to that level of focus to be able to do all the shit you do? What do you mean? That's confusing.
I think he means like how do you stay mentally sharp enough to trade, run a company, organize the summit, all that.
Really, it's about sacrifice. Like, what are you willing to give up for your goals? Because I guarantee if you guys gave up social life, if you guys gave up pleasure in exchange for purpose, and if you gave up some of the negativity around you and you really just went all in on your goals, you would be able to accomplish the same. But if I had to split my attention, like if I had at any point in my mind intentions of going out or intentions of scheduling plans with friends or things like that, I would not be able to do any of the stuff that I'm doing. So the question is, you can have whatever you want in life, but what are you willing to give up for it? So mental focus, and really the first thing for mental focus is about lifestyle. The things that take away our focus are usually lack of adequate sleep or consistent sleep, a horrible diet, a sedentary lifestyle, substance abuse, whether it be a drink at night or whether it be too much caffeine during the day, whatever it may do, or whatever is getting in the way of your full focus, you have an obligation to build your life around that. And so a lot of us are not willing to do that. Be like, I enjoy cheating on my diet and the snack at night more than I enjoy having everything I want in life. That is the trade-off that you're choosing every time that you pick up that shit that you decide to eat. You're voting with your choices. And so what I do is over time, I vote for my better future. With every decision, with everything I do all day, I've put my own pleasures aside. I don't care about how good it tastes. I don't care about this stuff. I put things in my body that will directly help me be more productive. I've built my life around being productive, not just for myself, but also to be a good son, to be a good brother, to be a good team leader, to be a good team member of the Chart Addicts team. That's what I prioritize. And so when I have a choice, take the stairs or take the elevator, I ask myself which one of these will lead to me having more mental clarity. And I'll tell you guys another thing. Society today is completely against having mental clarity. But if you're a religious person, understand that God revolves around clarity. God is clarity. Truth is clarity. Not getting caught up in these different narratives, not getting caught up in the societal stories, right? But really looking at things as they are. That is one of the most important skills of being a trader, is being able to cut through all the noise, all the different chatter in the comments section, and understanding what is true about markets and only living with the truth. That's why I don't care about offending people if I speak the truth on these streams, regardless of how much influence they have in the trading space, because the truth waits for nobody. So what I try to do is build my whole life around clarity so I can make good choices, not just make all choices. Making one good decision is better than making 100 shitty decisions. Does that make sense? I used to pray for clarity on my path, and then I found trading. Why would you stop praying for clarity? Every day I pray for clarity. Every day I pray to God for the strength and for the clarity to be able to make the best decisions. I don't want easier problems. The problems I have are perfect right now. I know that these are all opportunities. But if I don't have the mental clarity, I'm going to fuck up and make the wrong choice. Of course, you should pray for clarity, especially in your trading. I think it'll make a shallow retracement to fill the fair value gap and then go back up. I completely agree with you. 100% I agree with you. This is what it would look like. But this is why I hate these kinds of trades. Because look at where your stop loss still needs to be below the low. So what I do is draw an inverted fib, 16,818. That's going to be my stop loss. I remember you saying after a deep retracement, possibility for a shallow retracement is likely to happen if I'm right. After a deep retracement, the possibility of a shallow retracement happening, 100%. So that's actually a really great point. So we've had a deep retracement, and then the market is very aggressive, we're very likely to have a shallow retracement to keep going, and then another shallow retracement to keep going before the next deep retracement. So you're right. Roy check US 30. I'm gonna buy, but it seems to reject those highs. Please, bro. Don't be this person, guys. I'm in a great mood today. So I'm going to check US 30. But if you are in a trade and you're panicking, it means you did not have a plan, my friend. And that means that you should prioritize right after the stream and on this stream to not take another trade until you have a plan ready. Your plan should tell you if it hits a previous resistance and I'm in this much drawdown, here's what I should do. Now, what's your entry price? Said Dreams and Nightmares instrumental starts playing while Roy is talking his shit. Bro, who played Dreams and Nightmares at the summit? Was it Lasaldo? Lasaldo had the Dreams and Nightmares. He had everybody in the crowd singing it, bro. I look over, it was Bob Elliott was fucking. He had got up off his chair and he said, "Y'all thought I was finished?" I was like, "Yo, this is the crazy." Lasaldo did not tell me what he was planning on doing, and so the opening speakers. This is just to tell you how much trust I have in my guys. Is that they told me they're like, "Roy, do you trust me?" And I was like, buddy, every time somebody asks if I trust them, that means you're about to put me in a situation that's compromising. Why should I trust you? And that's what he did. Fucking Jason had people singing Window Shopper. Okay, his entry was at 37,546. 546. Okay, you had a pretty good entry, my friend. You had a pretty good entry. We have this area of structure right here. Yeah, my friend, you did pretty good. You did pretty good for yourself. Congratulations. But here's what I'm seeing is that we just rejected the 88.6 and we're coming back for a retest. So the market will very likely just retest 37,560 and then continue to the upside. As long as the market stays above this support level, the trade is still valid. So if the market comes all the way back down to these lows, just like this, and it starts to create support, the trade is still valid and it'll still continue. Okay? He says, bro probably got 5 lots, buy at the top. Nah, he got a good entry. He got a good entry. It's even, it's a good entry. He got a great trade in front of him right now. All right, so what I would do is, I would put the stops and break even and protect the trade, or just wait for the second pullback, and then that's when I would protect the trade. As long as the market stays above 37,530. As long as the market stays above 37,530, the trade idea for the buys is still valid. Said, thank you, sir. Much respect. No, I mean, good on you for having a good entry, man. This is a good trade. Great, solid work. Now, the real question is, I'm about to put you on skates. Where is your stop loss? Huh? Where's your stop loss at? Maybe I think that this chart returned to the negative 27 Fibbo. It could, even if it does this, and then comes up and closes back above this area of support. The second it starts closing back above, I'm in this trade. And if you're not comfortable with doing that, you can do a half and half, where half the trade on the way in, and then half the trade on the retest. So the market could break through. It's all about the closure. If the body of the candles start closing back above support, then buyers have control. That's why being selective is important. You want to wait for the market to tell you what it's going to do. If it starts smashing through and it's not even rejecting the zone, it just starts to build a red candle, red candle, red candle. Don't just enter the trade. Wait. See if the market is going to recover back above. Letting the market tell you what it's going to do is the easiest cheat code in the world. Okay? Easiest cheat code of all time. Too many trades here. Oh, somebody quick. What time is it? It's 11 a.m. Damn. All right, just a quick reminder before we cover the Israel-Palestine conflict. We have about 13 days left, or I think about 12 days left in the year. 12 days left for two things. Number one, the seats for the NAS100 masterclass are still discounted for the next 12 days. Don't miss your chance. If you guys want to learn this strategy, learn the patience, and learn how to build a solid trading plan that you can use in 2024 to hit the ground running, do not miss your chance to step into the NAS100 masterclass. My goal for this masterclass is to be the preparation you need, that in 2024, all of you who are determined to make it your life-changing year, the first step of being a successful trader is having a strategy that works. I don't want you guys to waste another 6 months watching all these videos and watching the YouTube and getting swung from one side to the next without a clear strategy. The sooner you begin with something that works, the more momentum that you can build. So if you guys are serious about taking 2024 by the horns, if you're serious about making it your best trading year ever, it all starts by having a solid trading system. And this is going to be that system for you if you don't already have one. Now, even if you have a system, this will show you tips and tricks on how to get better entries, better risk and reward, and overall improve the conditions of your trading. Everybody wants to be a New Year's resolution, right? Everyone wants to have new year, new me, new results. You don't get new results doing the same actions, people. And so if you're serious about your trading, take this into consideration, take advantage of the next 12 days, and make sure to grab your seat before they're all gone. The link is in the description, chartaddictsfx.com. Head over to the tab that says live classes. And of course, if you guys would like to work one-on-one with myself to improve your trading, we also offer limited coaching sessions in case you guys want a second set of informed opinions on your results. If you want someone to look at your results and give you some real feedback on how to improve, that's going to be for you. Last but not least, the FX Summit 2024 conference, which is our annual hallmark event for traders, investors, and entrepreneurs, is going to be in Dubai next year. This will be in Expo City, Dubai. Even though we're kind of on the fence about finding an even bigger venue, perhaps Festival City, Dubai, because we're expecting well over 4,000 or 5,000 people to show up, and we're going to need more space. The dates for the conference are November 15th to the 17th, 2024. We'll be doing a world tour ahead of the FX Summit to go and meet as many of you as possible. It will be a free tour. And so every city that we go to, we will pay out of pocket. We're going to have a free educational seminar, an event, and we'll be bringing on the biggest traders in your city. So if you have any cities that you would like us to visit, put those in the chat right now so that we have an idea. And if you guys want to get your early bird tickets, they are 50% off for the rest of the year. If you know for a fact that you'll be coming, don't miss out on your chance to grab these tickets. I guarantee this is an event that you will not want to miss. All right. While this thing pulls up for a retracement, let's talk about the Israel-Palestine conflict. So, as a reminder, there was a ceasefire that was agreed on at the end of November, or in mid-November. At the end of November, the ceasefire fell apart and the fighting has continued. There's been tons of news reports that have come out about some of the heinous atrocities being committed in the middle of this war zone. Just a few days ago, the Israeli forces had killed 3 hostages that were they were shirtless. They had a white flag waving saying SOS, we surrender. And they had no weapons on them, no shirt. And there was 3 hostages that were Israeli hostages. Now, in case you all forgot, the main reason for the combat was to go and free the hostages that had been taken from Hamas. So if the IDF forces were in there to free the hostages, and then these hostages, which were out in the middle of the road, were waving a white flag of surrender and were still shot on sight, it shows that the IDF is not being as specific and targeted as they can, and it's creating some issues on the battleground between being able to prove whether the killing of civilians is discriminate or indiscriminate. Are they really doing this on purpose, or are they trying their best to not harm civilians or whatever else is happening? The reality of the situation is whatever both sides are saying is irrelevant. The only thing that can genuinely impact this conference is the escalation and an invitation of outside forces. When the United States had ships on the side of the Mediterranean Sea, all right, hold on, give me one sec. Architects taking dimensions, they redoing the entrance. I know you guys can't hear it. They out here making it happen. So, long story short, if any of the other countries get involved, that's how these things get worse. Iran has very clearly stated they want no part in an escalation of conflict. I think that Iran is trying to throw Hamas under the bus. There's been very few ideas that have come out that are actually feasible. So here's the two ideas that are kind of prevailing. Here's how this is going to end. Number one, we find some kind of international peace treaty. We find some kind of two-state solution, and we're able to kind of get on a path to a two-state solution. Both Hamas and Israel have both mentioned that a two-state solution is not going to be possible. Here's the reality. For every one Hamas fighter that is killed, I believe that there's something like 100 civilians that are also killed. Okay? In order for Israel to kill all 30,000 Hamas fighters, they would have to eliminate the civilian population of Gaza, just based on the numbers they're currently hitting. Where if let's say that they killed 1,000 Hamas fighters, but there's been about, I don't even know the numbers at this point. It's atrocious. Like something like 20,000 civilians have been killed since the fighting started. So just based on that ratio, if you want to completely eliminate Hamas, which is the objective of the Israeli forces, you're going to have to eliminate all the civilians in Gaza, which is obviously not gonna go well with the rest of the world. And so those are the two options. Is we can either have some kind of peace treaty, both sides will have to give up something. The reason this has now become an impossible situation is they've killed enough civilians to have created thousands and thousands of new Hamas fighters. Guys, imagine this is that you live in a very crowded neighborhood, and then the neighborhood starts getting attacked. All your cousins, your best friend, the guys that you drink with, the guys you hang out with, the people that you play soccer with, everybody is decimated, and you got to see this with your own eyes of the blown up bodies of your best friends and your family members. Now, if that doesn't make you take up arms, then nothing will. As a man, that is what's going to make you want to take up arms. It's just a natural, rational response to an attack, especially an attack that leads to the death of your friends and your family. And so this is an impossible situation now. There's no turning back. The only way this ends amicably is if the United States, Saudi Arabia, Iran, and a few other countries sit down at a table and say this has gone on long enough. This ends now. We're going to solve this fucking problem. We are going to create the new borders, and this is where it's going to go. And if anyone has a problem, they're going to have to come deal with us. Because if Israel and Palestine think they're going to keep dragging the world into a conflict every fucking 10 years, and we're all just going to have to sit there and stop the whole show for this 1,000-year conflict that they cannot seem to get over, they're out of their minds. And so if there's a proposed peace deal that gets presented, just like there was in Ukraine and Russia, and Ukraine wants to turn it down to send more of our sons and daughters to fight, to send our taxpayer money for their problems, they're going to start to realize they will lose all global support, and then you will be left to fend for yourself with these problems. So I think this only ends in a few ways. They either take the deals, Israel and Palestine, take the deal that's on the table to go back to the pre-98 borders or whatever the fuck they want to do to lead to a ceasefire for the civilians' sake. That's what I would do if I was the United States. This is why I believe that Trump would be a better president, because he'd walk in there and say, you're going to take this deal. Otherwise, you're going to lose all of the U.S. support. This is what I would say to Israel. You're going to take the ceasefire deal for a two-state solution. We're going to go in and rebuild infrastructure in Gaza so that the civilians have a place to return back to. We're going to create sanctions around Iran and force Iran to get Hamas out of the conflict. And if you don't like this deal, we're going to leave you in here with these hostile neighbors and let you guys fend for yourself. I guarantee Israel takes the fucking deal. Same with Ukraine. Ukraine's like, we're not going to go for a ceasefire because that would just be giving Putin everything that he wants. I would tell the Ukraine, you got two choices here. We lead this ceasefire in an amicable and a democratic way, or we leave you in this region with hostile neighbors and see if fucking France is going to come and save you. They won't. So we need strong leadership, guys. Otherwise, World War III is not that far away. World War III is right around the corner. A lot of people don't like the politics talk, lost a lot of folks because there's no good trade ideas. Lord have mercy. Long shot, would I ever host the FX Summit in Toronto, Canada? I would rather eat glass live on this stream than ever host an event in Toronto, Canada. Why would I ever go to a communist country to host an event? I wouldn't even go to New York to host an event or California. The reason that we came down to Florida is this was the only state that would allow us to host an event during the draconian COVID lockdowns. What do I think of Yemen getting involved? Yemen has nothing to lose. Yemen has been decimated by the fighting from Saudi Arabia and Qatar. And Qatar and Saudi Arabia have used Yemen as a fighting ground for their problems, just like Syria. And so I feel for all these countries, guys. I'm Lebanese. All right. I grew up around this. So I'll be completely honest, using Yemen as a playground to drop bombs because you don't actually want any fighting to happen in your own country. Not that America doesn't do the same, but I just think that it's a very dirty move. And I am no longer sitting here trying to point fingers about good and bad and good and evil. Because I think that at this point, we've bastardized the concept of good and evil. The Houthis in Yemen have nothing left. Their country is dealing with the largest starvation crisis that has ever existed in history, the starvation of the Yemeni people. If they want to send missiles across the border to get their voice heard, I can't even how can I be against that? How can I even say anything about that? It says, "Hey man, you speaking truth right now." Yep. The real will always be here. Yep. It says, "Don't blame you, Roy." Forex Summit, Washington, D.C. Nope, I left D.C. for a reason. D.C. is a fucking hellscape. You have the swamp, which basically has made it uninhabitable in D.C. to live in some of these areas because of home prices and everything else. And the second part is just complete devastation and poverty in Southeast. All right. So Northeast, Southwest, Southeast DC, they're decent. Bro, who scheduled this meeting at 7 a.m.? Oh. Damn, G, my B, bro. I straight up missed that meeting. That's not good. That's the thing about working international, folks. You have meetings with people at like 6 a.m. I'm not political, so I didn't understand the communist statement about Canada. What's wrong with doing an event in a communist country? Just curious. Well, here's the main difference is that a capitalistic country incentivizes people through their policies, their tax policies, the way that they charge you for certain things, and how open they are to help in a capitalist country based on the ability of free enterprise. Now, meaning that I want you to make money because me and you are both going to make money together. In a communist country, the venue that we host from could be a government run business. So they're not really trying to maximize the profits, they're just trying to enforce the rules, which is what socialist and communist countries really want is they want a population of individuals who follow their rules more than think of new ideas and are creative and add value to society. They want the country to be dependent on the government, which is exactly the opposite of what we're trying to do. The reason that we have an FX summit is to provide real value to people in a commercial way, to really give you an idea of how to make more money trading and how to be a more successful trader. So if I go to a communist country, I'm going to be getting hit with regulations, fees, charges, being told what to do, being silenced in terms of certain policies. And if we go against the government, we might deal with a lot of the problems. And so there's a lot of issues there that disincentivize a free thinking person and a person who wants ultimate freedom from going out there and expressing their opinions and providing value. Now, in Florida, they want our money and they want to make everybody rich. They want to get rich. And so there's a mutually beneficial agreement here where we're all on the same page. We're going to have to pay for these venues, but that's fine. Now you also have to talk about the taxation, which is in a capitalist structure, you'll typically get taxed a lot less. Because if you're providing value in America as a small business, meaning you're hiring people, you're providing opportunity, and you're providing value to the marketplace, you actually get taxed less than an individual. Now, in a socialist society, the taxation rates are very high because they expect the successful people to make up the difference for the people who are just doing fuck all, right? So I do not want to go and provide that much value to society in a place that's going to disrespect me for providing this value, penalize me for providing this value, and then at the very end take my money and tax me out of my ability to do it again. And that's why I would never go to a communist country or a socialist country to do an event. He says not Atlanta either. Buddy, that's definitely where I'm eating. I'd rather eat glass. The US is arming the Taliban cartels Ukraine. What the fuck are you even talking about, Brand? What do you think about Baltimore? I used to live in the DMV, so I'm not gonna shit on Baltimore, but really it's those, again, Democrat policies. Any if you look at any environment in America today, in any inner city or any issue, and you look at who the leadership is, you will not see a conservative leadership in those areas where there's crime running rampant, where the prices have gone up, and where it's just an uninhabitable place. People look at Baltimore and say, bro, I don't want to fucking go to Baltimore and get shot, right? I don't care how cheap the prices are for flights out of BWI. Bro, I'm going to go to Dulles. So people don't even want to step into that area. So look at these policies that are being run and realize that we're headed into a failed society if we continue to have this soft on crime stance. And I understand being too tough on crime leads to a lot of problems and it leads to the incarceration of the wrong populations on a consistent basis. I get it. But what definitely doesn't work is reducing the environment or reducing law and order. That's one of the bases of a functioning society. First, you have to have law and order. If you look at every society that's failing around the world, typically they have lost law and order. There was some kind of coup in the government, the military tries to take over. There's no longer a understood value of law and order, and that's where chaos starts to ensue. And so everybody who's reducing the ability to for the expectation of law and order in their cities, everyone who's reducing that expectation, I think that they're doing a massive disservice. So every city in America that's having these problems is doing all this bullshit about being less tough on crime and about letting people go and catch and release and all this other bullshit. And that's just not going to work. E-commerce says, get your definition and information right. But you haven't explained one good point this entire time. So I really hope you're not talking to me, e-comma. All right, so we just hit the 88.6. I do want to see a bit of a push below the zone. I'm not going to buy no break and retest. Okay? I don't care. I need to see a liquidity grab through the zone if I want to entertain these buys. All right, ladies, gents, it really doesn't look like we're going to have any trade ideas. It's already 11:30, and so if I don't find any trades in the first 2 hours of my trading day, I typically walk away and get on with my life, which is exactly what I'm going to do, is set that good example. You have the levels already drawn for you. I've been here talking for 2 hours, and so if you haven't written these levels down, God help you, okay? Because you had all the tools in front of you. Happy and safe trading, everybody. One last reminder is to go pick up your tickets. Use promo code CHARTADDICTS to grab your 50% off. If you have a significant other or a friend that you guys have been trading together or that you know in trading and you want to do something that's beneficial for them, think about grabbing them a discounted seat for the FX Summit or for the for the NAS100 Masterclass, or think about getting your significant other a seat at the FX Summit 2024 conference for their holiday gifts. These are both discounted right now, and you'll have a chance to get those at 50% off. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. And if you have not already watched the seminar from the funded traders at the FX Summit conference from last year or from this year, I highly recommend you guys check out that video on our channel right after this stream. All right. Happy and safe trading, everybody. If you learned something, please leave a like on the way out. It would mean the world to me. And of course, tell a friend if you guys found any value in what we're providing here. Take it easy. Happy and safe trading. Take it easy. Peace. All right. CA members, we just hit the 78 just so I can explain what happened here.